So Tyler, Joe was telling us you should cut your hair. He didn't want you to know, but I'm letting you know. But
Oh shit.
but it's because I agree with him.
Y'all,
It's
you
super
haven't
long.
even
Take off the hat.
seen how long it is.
Oh my god!
What the
No!
fuck?
Sanji, put your hair back in your head.
Holy
Oh,
shit.
bro. Bradley had a theory that Kelly likes your hair that way. Is this true?
No, that's not.
Really?
Then
Really?
So-
why? Then why are you doing this?
So, whenever I go to get my hair cut, it's
Yeah.
usually booked like
Oh.
It's
Oh
right.
shit.
2 to 3 months in advance. You want to say hi?
This background isn't really doing its job, is it?
Uh.
Freaking people out. I was like, is it gonna work? Nah.
They were saying you like my hair
Special
long.
guest Kelly.
Whoa. It was a
do
theory.
I?
It was
Do
a
you?
theory.
Dude,
It was
I
a
think-
theory.
I like it when it's okay, not this middle part thing going on now,
Okay,
but
okay.
when it's like styled,
Okay, okay.
Okay.
like if it gets a little bit of gel and like styles it a bit, so it's like 90s heartthrob, I'm down. But if it's like
Okay.
8th grade, I listened to My Chemical Romance, then I'm just like,
Yo.
no, I already dealt with boys like that and they broke my heart. So
You say
no,
that as
no
you're
more.
wearing a Vampire Weekend shirt, which I think is even funnier.
Beaver hair, jeez. Oh my
Oh,
god.
whoa.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
Hi.
so special guest Kelly.
Yeah.
I get my haircut every 2 to 3 months, like usually on average. And I was set to get my haircut in November. But my family booked a trip to go visit my brother the same Saturday I was supposed to get it cut, and I was like, I didn't want to have to take alternate travel, but they're like, we're leaving at 4 a.m. And I was like, well, do I really want to pay for a flight to get my hair cut at noon?
Yes.
Okay, but cool story, dude. But it's been 4 months.
I know.
Yeah. I booked like after November. I was like, oh, I'll just do it whenever. So around December, I went to go book a hair appointment, and his next available appointment was March 24th.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So that's how far in advance I have to book with this guy.
I see.
Okay.
Great haircuts. Never been upset with him once. If you live in the Houston area, David Silva Barber Company. Shout
Ooh.
outs to him.
Shout outs.
Yeah.
A fellow Silva clan member.
Yo.
All right. What's everyone been up to except for the important things? Why don't we start with Bradley? What's going on in Genshin land?
Well, number one, they came out with the cutest girl in Genshin history, which is impressive. And also, they announced 2 new girls yesterday, and I don't really like either of them. But the new girl is so good and so strong and so cute. She's
Is
really
this the
cool.
goat girl?
No. So this is the director of the funeral parlor, which is relevant for like the second main story quest.
I thought. What's the little tiny zombie girl? I thought she directed the funeral parlor.
No, she's a zombie,
Okay.
which is
She just
ridiculous.
lives there.
Zombies can't work, Tyler. You know this.
Right. But so there was like a weapon banner which I never pull on because it's weapons and not cute girls. But
Mhm.
the weapon banner had a few hours left, so I was like, fuck it, whatever. I'll just do a 1 pull. I did it, and I got the best spear in the entire fucking game, and I was very fucking happy because there's only like a 0.6% chance of getting it.
What character do you have that uses a spear?
Hu Tao, it's the new girl.
Okay.
But more important than Genshin, surprisingly, I've been playing a ridiculous amount of One Step from Eden this
Yeah.
past week.
So
I got back on it during the like ice week,
Ugh.
where like in the brief amounts of Switch battery that I had, I was like, oh, I'll do some One Step from Eden runs, and I got back on it, and they've done the update where it adds all the new spells and stuff, and holy
Which
fuck,
I
dude,
haven't played. I really should at some point.
it's so good.
But you're in there, like you're good. You're getting like to the hard part, which I haven't even reached. Because what I'm trying to do is unlock at least each moveset before I start doing like genocide
Yeah.
runs and Hell 1 through 14. If I ever even want to attempt that.
Yeah, because like I've got all the move sets and I've got almost every costume for every character. I'm just missing the last outfit for Terra.
Bro, how can you like? I cannot beat Violet. That is such a blocker for me. I cannot get her any kind of moveset. Unless I
I was able to get her. She's fun once you get rolling.
Yeah.
Is Violet the storekeeper?
The violinist.
Yes.
Oh,
We're like-
I never beat it with her. Yeah.
It's tough.
I guess I cheesed the game and I'm not skilled at it because my favorite character was the shield one.
That's not cheese. Nothing's cheese.
I really liked the like damage build, like where you damage whenever you take damage, you reflect it back.
Yeah.
That's my favorite build.
And she has a shield, right? So it's like you reflect damage you didn't really take. So that's cool. Cool. I do want to get back on one step at some point.
At least to see like all the new spells and artifacts and shit like that. And they
Wait,
totally
there's new stuff?
Yes.
Oh, dude, they added dozens of new spells, dozens of new artifacts. They totally reworked one of the boss fights.
Which one?
It's really
Saffron, right? Yeah.
Saffron, and they also added one or two new outfits, I think. And there's another outfit that's in the PC version that's not in the Switch version yet.
Shit.
But yeah, I've been having so much fucking fun.
Have they fixed the Switch's annoying hitches? Because
Yes.
I started playing on the PlayStation because I couldn't handle it and I wanted trophies.
Since I started playing again, I've had no hitches, no crashes.
Let's go. Okay, good. Maybe I'll get back on the Switch version then.
Yeah, I'm very huge fan. Also, they did some other just UX stuff to make things more apparent that weren't before. Like so you could kill the rabbit at campsites to gain luck, but no one fucking knew that. Now, whenever you kill it, like a little. Or not even a little, like a big like luck clover appears when you kill it. It's little stuff like that. And also, like, for example, whenever you do the not true ending of the game, the boss now actually has dialogue that heavily indicates, hey, this is not the true ending. You should do this.
That is so good because I would get there and be like, oh my god, how am I going to beat that boss that one-shots me? And it's like, no, you won the route. You just, like, they don't tell you that you won the route.
Yeah, so they did a lot of stuff to let the player know things that that you just couldn't have known before.
Yeah, that's good. Joe, what have you been up to?
Hello. I've kind of been weirdly around this time is when COVID started, and that's when I dove into Japanese RPG 3-month span, which was Final Fantasy VII and Persona 5 art. I've now done the opposite. I've moved back to the West and I've picked up a bunch of Western RPGs. I've been playing Pathfinder Kingmaker. I've also picked up Dragon Age Inquisition and kind of picking away at that one very, very, very slowly.
I didn't know you were playing Inquisition.
I literally picked it up like a few days ago. I have a strong complaint about all Western RPGs I'm starting to figure out.
Wait, first, before we do that, Tyler, are you allowed to speak of certain involvements?
No,
okay, cool. No. Go on, Joe.
Okay. So like I feel like a lot of Western RPGs fail to capture giving you a sense of like urgency. And it might be just because of these two games, because they're both themed around like you have an organization you are trying to like run in addition to adventuring. So like in Kingmaker, you're a baron and you build yourself up to a kingdom. And then in Inquisition, you have this whole Inquisition that's like going and fighting a holy war. And I really don't like it for adventuring RPGs. And I guess it's not like that, but it doesn't feel, I don't feel connected to that thing at all. Like compared to Mass Effect, you have that ship, but like that feels like your ship and it's small enough for you to like know everybody there. When you're doing like a whole kingdom or like this big organization, you're just like, oh, there's schmuck, and then you have like 3 other people that you talk to, and then you have your party that you use. I don't feel connected to any of the characters, and like they have to get you into that system very quickly in the game, or else like it comes too late and it doesn't really matter. So it's just, I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that aspect. But I've been enjoying the combat in both of those games. Pathfinder Kingmaker is hard as shit. But and and Dragon Age is very action, which is a nice little like change of pace for those type of games. But I've been enjoying them, and then on the side as well, I've been watching Critical Role Campaign 2, and I finally caught up to the point where I stopped watching it live. Fun fact: I watched every episode of Campaign 1 live of Critical Role.
Goddamn.
So it's 115 episodes. Each of them 3 hours
each.
3 hours on average.
How do you block out that time every week? That's crazy.
It was always Thursday nights. I never had classes that night, and it was the night I would do my homework and I would watch Critical Role at the same time. So I would just go off and just do it. I had 2 screens, so I would put one here and then put the other here.
The girls would be like, "Joe, let's fuck," and you're like, "Sorry, babe, it's Critical Role night."
It's Thursday.
And then she wouldn't like you on Friday, and that's how it would go.
Yep. But yeah, I've been enjoying Campaign 2. I didn't enjoy the first time around because I just was like, because Campaign 1 starts kind of the middle of their adventure, so they're a little bit higher level and have a lot more interesting stuff going on. Campaign 2 is literally like level 2 onward. But now I'm getting to the portion where things are starting to pick up, so I'm happy about that. But that's just been me, other than some other things we're going to talk about.
On my end, Strive reawakened the traditional fighting game player that has always lived in me. And he's never died, mind you. He just goes to sleep when it's RPG season. But he's awakened, and boy, I downloaded, or I already had downloaded, but I started actually playing Guilty Gear Xrd. I'm playing as May, who I played in the beta. I'm actually winning, and I sucked at Xrd when I first tried, but Strive helped me understand a couple of things, and even though Xrd is like, all the characters have at least like 2 to 3 more moves, so it's a lot more complicated, and like the Roman cancel system is harder to use and all that. I'm still doing way better. I also invested some time in setting up Fightcade, which is, it's like Fightcade is an emulator that you can load in arcade game files.
Oh.
And so you can download Fightcade for free, but you have to go find a repository of files, which is very openly shared in subreddits, but like Fightcade themselves can't share it. That has like every fighting game ever made. So I downloaded, so I extracted Darkstalkers 3, which is the game that got me into fighting games, or like it's the one where fighting games clicked. There was a re-release in PS3 that I picked up on a whim, and I was like, man, I suck at Street Fighter 4, but let me try this, and then it made me good, and then I went to Street Fighter 4 and I could finally win matches. So I have very strong feelings for the Darkstalker series, and I really hope there's one day a 4th one. So Fightcade lets you play online with rollback netcode GGPO, which is really good. It basically means your matches are going to run very well in most scenarios, which is something fighting games didn't have for a long time. So that's been really cool. I also downloaded the JoJo's one. I've never played that game.
Dude, that game is crazy.
The problem with JoJo's Heritage to the Future is that it's only part 3, with the exception of part 2, Joseph. And it's like, who do I want to play as in part 3? And the answer is not really anyone. If they
yes, you do.
No, because the one character I would want to play, which is Pet Shop, the Ice Bird.
Pet Shop is busted.
Is banned. You can't play as Pet Shop because he's so fuck busted. It's like, I don't want to go into Fightcade and like challenge people to matches and like, oh, you're a fucking Pet Shop player, and then they won't rematch me because that's a scum character. So it's like, what, I'm gonna play Kakyoin? Or am I gonna play Kakyoin with the sunglasses because there's 2? Or am I gonna play Rubber Soul, which is also Kakyoin but yellow? So it's like, or am I gonna play one of the 3 Dios?
Shadow Dio, normal Dio,
and then High Dio. If I was to play, I'd probably play Shadow Dio. I don't know if he's any good, but like, I don't have the urge to play most part 3 characters. If Endul, who has the water stand, was playable, I would play him, but he's only a mini boss. And then I also downloaded Marvel vs. Capcom 1 because that is the only Marvel vs. Capcom. I'm decent at Infinite, but 2 and 3 I'm just terrible at. So Joe, you should get Fightcade and play Darkstalkers with me because it's free, and Darkstalkers has the best roster of any fighting game. So.
It's Morgana or Morgan.
Morrigan. Morgana's for the game that I'm going to talk about later. Which leaves Tyler. Do you have any mini things you want to bring up? I think most of your things we decided to make proper topics.
Yeah, which was really weird. I talked about my hair. Let's go
fair.
on.
That's fair. All right. Moving on.
While we're at a hesitation moment, can I go grab food?
Yes. Okay. Go. I'm gonna talk about Are You the One? Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So Are You the One is it's on Netflix. It is a reality television trash dating show.
Oh shit!
And sometimes you just need that in your life. And I hate to admit that I've become the person who likes to put that on in the background.
Yeah.
But I've become the person who likes to put that on in the background. So. Are You the One is a reality show in which 20 beautiful men and women, 10 of each.
I think I've seen this before, or at least portions of it.
They're in a house in Hawaii, usually, and it's gorgeous. And they went through a rigorous matchmaking system and, querying system where an algorithm and, researchers have picked the perfect match for that person. And they're all, super hot. They all get mad puss and dick, but they suck at dating, as they say, right? So they're there to find true love for once, and obviously it'll be someone of their caliber of looks, so it's kind of a win-win for them. But you don't know who your perfect match is, so the game is date around and try to find your perfect match. And if everyone, by the end of it, gets their perfect matches in 10 ceremonies... they get $1 million split into 20, so it's $50K each. Pretty good prize. And of course your perfect match.
Yeah, right.
You can go on to pursue, and usually doesn't happen. But actually, there are some couples that stay strong, and one of the couples gets married immediately after the show. So hey, it's working out. But
yeah,
man. There is some fucking drama in this. It gets pretty crazy where these two people madly in love, you're for sure my match. And then if you win challenges, you can go on a special date. So let's go scuba diving with the sharks or zip lining across Hawaii. Really fun group date, 2 to 3 couple dates. And then you can vote to send one of those couples to the truth booth, in which you will reveal to everyone if you are a perfect match or not. It's the only way to get a guaranteed reveal. But
I bet that's got to be super tense whenever 2 people think they're the perfect match and then they get revealed.
So in the first season, for example, 2 people madly in love get in there, not a perfect match, complete heartbreak, but then they're but I like you though. We're gonna keep playing the game, but I like you though. So they keep dating on the side, and everyone gets fucking pissed because it's you are stealing each other from your actual perfect match, and not only jeopardizing the game but jeopardizing love.
Okay, I would be super invested.
The guy then goes on to find his perfect match 2 weeks later, and she's one of the best girls in the house. But so they go to the honeymoon suite, which is where you go after you find your perfect match. You just get to go there and have dates in Hawaii for 10 weeks or however many weeks you have left. Just
10 weeks. Jesus Christ.
I'm watching it with a friend, although I went on ahead because I'm a bad person. But I'm on season 5 now. I've been putting it on. I've been putting it on and writing before bed. So the last hour of my nights have been watching Are You the One and writing. But basically so the dude, they go to the honeymoon suite after you go there, and it's she's can we talk tomorrow? They get there and there's sexual chocolates and kisses all over the bed and lays for them to put on themselves. And then he's he just plops down on the couch, and she's hey, can we talk tomorrow? He's yeah, we'll talk tomorrow. And he stays faithful to that first girl that he fell in love with. And every time, all the couples come back for the light ceremony to see, how many... So, there's a ceremony at the end of each episode where either girls or boys, it alternates per week, will pick someone that week to match up with them. and then you get a light per perfect match, but you don't get to know who it is, right? So you have to kind of like strategize. Like, oh, this week we got 3, and you guys were together, but this week we got none. So we know none of those couples are matches. Which when that happens, it's genuinely heartbreaking because at least 3 of the couples are like, dude, I loved you, and
damn, dude,
prove that we're not matches. So it's like he comes back from the honeymoon suite every ceremony and like gives her a big hug and kiss. And I just feel bad for the girl he actually got matched up with because it's like, dude, you got the raw end of the stick so hard.
Damn, dude.
They introduce gimmicks in like future seasons where like season 2 the gimmick is there's an 11th girl, so one guy has 2 matches. And either that 11th girl or the other match of her match, if one of them gets confirmed early on, the other one leaves without anything. So that's pretty fucked up. And then in season,
they don't get a man or money.
Yeah, exactly. And in season 3, 4, and 5, it's like if at any point you get a blackout that week, in which case you haven't made any new matches that week, you lose like $250,000. So it's like,
whoa.
In like the most recent season I watched, they upped that to 500 million, and on the 3rd week it happened. So they just lost half of their prize with like not even halfway to go through the game. I haven't finished it yet, but hey, if you're looking for some trashy reality TV shows, this sounds like pretty fun.
A great story for me to read if it was a manga.
Yo,
you fucking weeb, just go watch them. The girls are choice. So, but
that's the problem.
But everyone, half of each season is either a narcissist, psychopath, douchebag, or just bitch. So it's
but they have their perfect match there.
But they have like they match up with each other. But half of the cast is genuinely good people where it's like, wow, you're good looking and like smart and you're kind and you're not like that much of a player. And then, you know, it depends per cast. So
dating reality shows just give me anxiety. I already get enough anxiety through actual dating. So, like, watching The Bachelor, Bachelorette is, like, actually my worst nightmare in the world to be on either one of those shows. Like, I would literally shut down and never come out with the camera.
Me and Bradley have 2 coworkers that are really into The Bachelor and Bachelorette.
Oh, dude, it's been so funny. So, yeah, one of our coworkers was like, hey, Bradley, the girl on the next season of The Bachelorette, like, I think you might really like her. And I was like, okay, yeah, she's cute. And I was reading her bio, and it was pretty normal stuff, and it was like nothing is a bigger turnoff for Katie than a guy who sits around playing video games. And I was like,
did you really think?
I was like, I'll let the Bachelorette boys have this one. I'll let them.
They can have for the rest of the day, Bradley just like he would shout out made up Bachelorette profiles.
Like I was reading through a lot of Bachelorette profiles, and a lot of them were just like the most generic shit. And then I spent the rest of the day just making up funny fake profiles.
Like, I'm Casey, and I'm a dog breeder in El Paso, Texas. I like my coffee black, and if you don't like that, I don't care. It's like that kind of stuff.
Like, legitimately, some of the profiles were just that milk toast.
I have to say, I've never watched a single episode of The Bachelor or Bachelorette.
Me neither. Kelly's a fan, isn't she? I remember.
Yeah, she is.
Every girl's a fan.
Well, Joe, don't you assume?
Joe, that's bad.
I don't think. No. I think
retract your sexist comments.
Ooh, Joe hates women.
We're not Riot, Joe.
Canceled.
Riot? Who?
We're not Riot Games.
Oh shit.
We're not Riot
Games. That's fucking burns. All right, Tyler, tell us about Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yo. I hated this as soon as Willer made me watch it.
I liked the first episode, but I haven't watched since.
And then, this is, I guess, a spoiler, but probably not really for anyone. This one character pulls out a guitar, and I did not see that coming. And at that moment, I realized this show is more like JoJo's than JoJo's Part 3 is like JoJo's Part 8.
Okay.
Okay.
I see what you're doing. Yeah, okay.
So I guess in a way, like, you really could probably compare it more to like Black Clover powers in a sense.
It feels
where,
Black
like,
Clover meets fucking something else that Jump has put out recently. But it feels derivative but good.
Yeah, the animation's nice, the music's nice. I really wasn't on the hype train until this latest arc, where they actually. I'm usually not a big fan of like school rivalry combat games tournament arc, but the way they did this arc, it was really short but really nice, and they introduced the main character's like rival / growth stimulus character.
Growth stimulus character.
Yeah.
And he's just super actually fucking busted, but he's also great. This is actually one of my favorite characters in all anime that I've seen so far.
Oh,
Is he the guy who's like, my name's this and I like this and I like big butts? Because I saw that
Yeah,
somewhere. Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
He's like, he shows up and he's like, what kind of woman do you like? Like, that's his entire motto. But he's got a really cool power that's so simple, but so effective in the way that he uses it. He reminds me of Lemillion from My Hero, where he's got like this really simple power that can be used in so many ways.
Cool. I like stuff like that. Lemillion's like one of my favorite characters from that show partially because of that. I saw a GIF of the main character and like an ally just beating the shit out of like kind of like thug style beating the shit out of a dude for like 2 minutes. And I was like, yo,
that was the hypest shit.
Like I don't know the context behind this, but they're going in. I really like that.
The context behind that is that's the like main character's Goku versus Frieza battle, where he starts going Super Saiyan.
Instead of charging for an episode, he's just thug style
beating
this dude.
He literally goes like Kaioken in the beginning of the episode, like first 3 minutes. They give context to what he's about to do, and then he does it, and it's great.
So, for anyone interested, the premise of Jujutsu Kaisen, from what I could understand from the first episode, is the main character gets possessed by the villain, so they share a body. But I
when you go to KFC and you get a chicken, you get a rat in your chicken, and basically the main character gets a rat in his chicken, and then he eats the rat and he gains super demon powers.
Oh yeah, he eats like a demon finger, and then he's cursed.
Oh fuck!
So the antagonist lives inside of him, but you just know they're gonna be best friends by the end.
I'm gonna sacrifice. It's gonna be a Venom. You're like, you know what? The world is actually really pretty. I should save it.
It's gonna be a nine-tailed
Dr.
fox.
Stone. It's gonna be Dr. Stone.
What's really cool is I hope all of you are wrong, because the way it's being set up. So
are they not friends yet? Because it would be encouraging if they're still not friends.
The characters fight curses, and there are curses that all like manifest into living beings, but also curses that like are imbued into objects. And those curses that are in objects can be manifested into actual beings as well. So it's like kind of like how they trap curses, and some curses can actually just be like Expelliarmus or whatever. And so the main character has like he's going to normal high school, and he's really super athletic and just really kind of has like an abnormal human body. He eats this like ancient artifact that this other character that's his age is looking for, and they end up fighting curses together at the high school. But the cursed object he ate is of like the highest grade, and basically he's Naruto now and has the demon living inside of him.
I really like, just from one episode, I really like the main character and his interaction with like his two normal friends. So I feel like I could get into these characters, but like every generation, Jump will have like 3 to 5 school-based demon slaying manga. Like this is one of these.
Last year, like had a whole bunch come out and a whole bunch get axed too.
This really feels. It feels like the modern day. What is that called?
Yu Yu Hakusho.
No, I could be probably that. What's the anime where they go to death school?
A Bleach? No, Soul Eater.
Soul Eater.
It doesn't feel like Soul Eater, because Soul Eater is like tongue-in-cheek, goofy, like artsy. This is just like, we're all cool.
big titty whip.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like a modern. I mean, in premise wise, it's like they go to a special school that has to do where they all they kill curses, but they also have curses, and there's something to do with the curses. And the school is like trying to kill the main character, and it's great. The way it's being set up is that the main character seems like he's going to have to kill the demon that the curse that's inside of him. So I hope that it's not like a befriending one, and instead he's going to have to get strong enough to kill the main demon.
He's going to have to become Demon Slayer.
He will become the Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
what are we?
animation's great, music's great, the outro's a billion times better than any intro on the show. Don't listen to what the internet says, including us. I'm always wrong.
That's facts.
Yeah.
This is a show where it's like I will start it. Like there's no way I won't, because people are putting it in the same conversation as Attack on Titan, which I'm like, really, you dare? But that means it's at least decent, right? So I want to give that a shot, and I'm still late on the Demon Slayer train. But those are two series where it's like I have my Shonen Jump app. I love following the manga version of series, but both of these series have god animation. So it's like, do I watch the 12-episode season and then just wait for new seasons? Do I watch the 12-episode season, then switch to manga, or do I just start from manga? And that choice paralysis keeps me from starting these series.
Just, read up to all the way to where Tyler is at, and then watch the anime series because you can't read further.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say, I got the last...
Yeah.
Had the last 4 volumes of Demon Slayer.
Nice.
Finally. But the ending volumes for the manga get released this year. I think the last one gets released in August.
Nice.
As a small tangent, I've really been enjoying Demon Slayer. It's not anything groundbreaking for sure, but it's fun and I like it and I enjoy it, and that's about it.
In tandem, I will say the manga is just good.
Yeah.
Like Joe said, there's nothing groundbreaking about it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you read it in tandem after watching the anime and the movie, it's really good. And Joe didn't watch the anime. He's a savage.
How about
I didn't watch the anime.
With both of them, I go manga, rewatch the fights in anime clips. Maybe that's the move.
Hey, I will say about the anime and Demon Slayer that the first few chapters of the manga, I had this very melancholy tone whenever I was reading it because the premise of Demon Slayer is basically his whole family gets eaten by demons.
Yeah, very quickly.
Yeah, and then he has to try to save his sister who has been turned into a demon.
First 10 minutes of the show.
Yeah, first 10 minutes of the show doesn't spoil anything. So I loved the first small arc of this series because when I read it, it felt so dark. It felt bleak in the way it was drawn. And then I watched the anime and it has this happy-go-lucky music going around when he's training. And I was like, this kind of ruins what I was feeling when I was watching this guy train because
you got to see the true vision and probably the real tone, and then you watch the kawaii version because we gotta market Nezuko, we gotta get Nezuko plushies out there.
So they have all that shit. Nezuko is not that emphasized. I feel like
she's so popular.
Is that the girl with the bamboo in her mouth?
Yes.
Yeah. She's a very plot heavy point, but
even Bradley, I'm sure you've seen her all over the place.
The month that Demon Slayer first started airing, I could not escape that fucking character on the internet. Yeah. She was everywhere all the time. Though,
Nezuko isn't a damsel in distress character. Quite the opposite. She's actually fucking awesome. She's so cool.
Nezuko is used sparingly.
Yes, and she has a perfect balance of this little cute kind of person that's mute, and oh my god, you are just fucking clutch. So all the characters in it have just been really good. I think the latest arc that I just finished, which was the Swordsman Village arc, was the one where I was like, this is kind of really messy.
I have no fucking clue what goes on during that arc at all.
Yeah, I was
it's because half the cast is wearing
the masks
that all go like this. They all go like, ooh!
Oh, cool. Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, they like half the cat, like the entire everybody in the village is wearing that mask.
Mhm.
So you're like, the author names everybody who's wearing a mask, but then
They
you're
all wear
reading
the same
through and things are going so quick, and it's just like I don't know who the fuck
Maybe in
this
color,
is.
maybe they're wearing colors that will differentiate them. But
Maybe.
Who fucking knows, man?
But Demon Slayer also has pretty good world building. It has good rules. I feel they're kind of whatever, but like it's there, and there's enough like suspension of disbelief where I'm enjoying it. I'm really excited to watch the movie when it comes out because that arc is actually fire.
Yeah.
Thinking about it again, that's a perfect movie, and that movie is canon. Like it's a whole arc that happens in the manga, and I think it's the perfect way to do that arc because it's really good when you just read it straight through.
Demon Slayer could, like the rest of Demon Slayer probably could fit in movies.
Probably,
except maybe the last arc.
Okay, interesting.
So, Joe and Tyler, you've both been playing Divinity 2.
We've
also
also been
now
talking
talk about it.
I've also played all the way through Divinity.
Bradley has
2.
played Divinity as well.
And I've played some of it, so I will go to the bathroom while y'all start and take off my sweatshirt because it's hot. All right, go.
All right.
I want to hear Bradley and Joe's opinion first because y'all have played it more than I have.
I have strong opinions about the first area.
I think pretty much everything in the game is fun to me. I think combat is satisfying. I think it's the perfect balance of like you have to really, really think if you do want to win the battles, but they are winnable.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
Level ups take long enough and give substantial enough rewards that they feel very satisfying to me. I think the world and plot of the game is very, very cool. So virtually every aspect of the game is just about perfect to me. But, and this is a huge but, and it's going to stop me from ever playing the game again, it is just too fucking long.
It's extremely long.
It is just too long. I'm never going to play it again.
Divinity is?
This, yeah.
Yeah.
I was so, like, this is a 4-player co-op. This is something you can play by yourself or in 4-player co-op.
Mm-hmm.
And when you told me that the game is over 100 hours long,
yeah,
for a 4-player co-op experience,
it is just too much.
Mm-hmm.
No way.
That's ridiculous.
I can see
I'm
doing
not
it
mad
too.
at it, but I think it's cool.
I just think it's cool too.
If the game was like half the length it is, I think it would be like borderline perfect video game.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, 100 hours to coordinate. That's like genuinely coordinating a long ass D&D campaign for realsies.
And the difference there is that like there's a lot of stuff that goes on in D&D that like makes up for any inconsistencies. Like when you're playing a game in the computer, it has its rules and it's set. You can't change what the fuck is happening, so you can kind of get screwed that way.
Yeah.
So I'm with Bradley. I think a lot of that game is really good. I like the way the environmental system works. I like the way the elements interact with each other. The magic armor system, I think, is a really cool and unique mechanic.
Yeah. Oh my god.
In order to have crowd control abilities affect enemies, you have to reduce either their magic armor or their physical armor down to 0, and then those abilities
have to.
You have to.
What the fuck does that mean?
There's a perk you can get that just ignores that fucking rule.
Yeah, and I got that first without real. I never played the game. There's so many confusing things if you've never played before.
We've played before on the Switch.
No. Like I haven't played in depth before. Like
yeah.
Anytime you pick something new, and a lot of these terms probably make sense for a lot of people who have played D&D. That's definitely who the game is catered for.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a big D&D person. I've always loved the concept of it. Always wanted to play it. And I've always wanted to play Divinity because I played the demo back in like 2016. And I was like, dude, this thing is great. Like, I want to play this. And then just never got to because I didn't have 4 people to play it with. Here we are 5 years later.
Yeah.
Big bummer.
So here's the thing about Divinity 2. And here's the reason why I will never play this game again.
Fort Joy sucks.
Fort Joy fucking sucks. It's I despise it. One of my hated tropes in RPG games is you're in a prison, you have to break out. I hate that so much. It's my least favorite way to start a game. Like Skyrim doesn't. I hate it there. I hate it in Oblivion.
Dark Souls.
Dark Souls is a little bit different because that's more of an action game than an actual like RPG game.
And the good thing about Dark Souls is there's no exposition really for it other than what the fuck was that poem you just read to me and what the fuck is this game?
Yeah. So like you're a little bit like you don't know what the hell's going on. So a big problem with that is that like when you get into Fort Joy and you immediately feel limited in what you can do. Because if you walk too far out of bounds, you immediately get killed by guards. If you talk to the wrong person, you immediately get killed by guards or shanked by some like enemy crew. So it's so unforgiving that it's actually frustrating.
Yeah, and like in regards to Fort Joy, it suffers from something that I don't think the later acts of the game do. Where in later acts of the game, there's you can always kind of take the diplomatic route to accomplish whatever it is you're trying to accomplish in the story or quest, and you'll get rewarded with experience and shit. Mm-hmm. And you can technically do that in Fort Joy. However, in the 3 times I've played through the first act of the game, it feels like the only way we could get strong enough to escape Fort Joy is if we just kind of genocided the fort and killed all the guards.
Like when we played, we got stuck trying that because like that's what
No. I walked too far and just got murdered, like Joe said.
When the 4 of us played, we tried.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. It's really frustrating.
We were playing it again, and the same thing happened with the girl we're playing with. She literally walks up the wrong staircase, and these people just enter combat with you for no reason.
Yeah.
That sounds like a shit tutorial area.
It is.
It's not a tutorial area. You have to know what D&D is and how it works.
It's like the first third of the game.
Yeah, it's been so frustrating too because you basically get into this fort, it's a prison, and the only thing you're told is like you have to escape. There's no guiding person to go talk to. There's no one that you meet up initially, and they kind of explain like what the system of Fort Joy is like. There's no introduction to like you have to have some sort of setup, right?
And like in some cases, not having a guiding path could be fun to certain players. However, in Fort Joy, there's a million incorrect places to go, but only like 3 or 4 correct places.
Yeah, and it's so easy to fuck something up, and like it feels bad because the only way to play this game is to basically anytime you enter a room, you quick save and then do what you're doing and then potentially reload.
Yeah,
which feels bad because. Yeah. What makes games like this fun is having the consequences of the actions happening to you.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with like, oh, we died, we have to use resurrection scrolls to bring people back. That's fine. But it sucks when it's like I walk into the room, I died, I res. I walk into the next room, I died, I res. Especially when you're doing those level 1 characters.
The really bad thing too about the resurrection scrolls is like I think we're probably 10 hours in, and I'm the fortunate player in our group who has like 1,000 gold on them at all times, which everybody else in comparison has like 50 to 100.
Mm-hmm.
But like resurrection scrolls cost like 1,000 gold each. Like this is like Final Fantasy 3 where you maybe have 3 Phoenix Downs on you at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just ridiculous. And the way they try to balance it is like they give every player 4 resurrection scrolls at the start, and you're like, oh, these are in abundance. These are everywhere. Like they just give us 4 to start. And then it's like, no, actually, those are the most expensive single unit like item in the game.
They are rare and expensive enough to where if you have a teammate who dies even slightly more often than the other teammates, you will grow to hate them.
Yeah.
And like Bradley's not wrong.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes the more optimal thing to do is to just sell all those scrolls because to buy items. And this is a frustrating thing I don't like about Divinity, is that you, in order to get new skills in Divinity, you have to have these books, and you read the books, and that's how you get the skill. I'm of 2 minds like this. I think it's really cool that you can like kind of custom build your character, and you can find this book drop that's really cool because it actually gives you a new ability to do. But at the same time, like leveling up nearly doesn't feel as cool because you do get some good stat buffs, and those stat buffs are great, and they do improve a lot of your skills.
Mhm.
But it's not as cool as like, oh my god, I leveled up, I unlocked the ability to shoot fireballs. Like it doesn't feel as satisfying to me.
Let me counter that, because I have been liking the level up system. I think it's very rewarding.
Oh yeah.
Because you don't get to level up the same stats every time you level up. So like when you level up, like every time you get like stat points, like basically, do you want to get your intelligence higher or your strength higher or your defense or your movement or something? But then you have like your social stats, you'll get stats level points for. Sometimes you'll get it for combat, where like you can spec more into dual wielding or like fire magic or something.
Yeah.
The class variety is really cool. And I like how you can make almost any class out of any like base character. Because in that sense, you have two routes that the designers can do. Either they give every class access to a certain spell, or they give a class access to these spells only, and then every time you do a playthrough, you have to choose that class.
Right. True.
And they did the former.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that makes it so like, okay, well then I have to actually just get, these are the skills I know for sure that I'm going to have to get, and you just always get them.
Yeah, but then you can be a hunter and get that skill, versus you always have to play as the shitty cleric who has polymorph or something. Like, you can have polymorph on any class at that point, which I think is a much better alternative.
I don't know about that, because I think part of the challenge, too, of having your own class is that you are restricted from using that ability. So it makes it more interesting where it's like, okay, I'm playing the monk now, so I don't have access to the wizard classes like spells and utility, so I need to come up with a different strategy around this character.
I think in a sense of like, if the game was shorter, that'd be fair. But this is a lengthy game where you're like...
I don't like RPGs that have like, these are the 3 essential things you need to get every time you play. I really, really do not like it.
I feel that like RPGs where like if you don't have cleric in your team, like what are you gonna do?
Or like even in Pokemon, like it's like I need to get Houndoom because it's literally the best fire Pokemon, and there's only 3 fire Pokemon in Pearl. It kind of sucks because you don't have options to do things.
Just don't use fire, idiot. It's easy.
But here's the thing about what. But here's the thing about that statement, though, is you don't, like, when you're playing the game for the first time, you don't know Houndoom is A, the only fire Pokemon, and B, the best one. Like, in the experience, you do not have that knowledge.
He's not even in that gen. I just want to throw that out. It's Ponyta. But go on.
Okay. Well, I just picked a random Pokemon from my head. That was fire type. But the thing is though, is also, like, I do like the idea even to, like, come back and I want to try a different way of running things. And having it turn out to be basically I have to do the strategy every time to beat something doesn't feel nearly as good as I can. Like Star Wars: The Old Republic, like you can go Jedi or you can go Sith, and they have different ways of like dealing with the situation. So you can like lightning bolt, or you can like mind control, and you can deal with it that way. I think that's what makes RPGs like this really cool, is that you have multiple ways to overcome a problem. And that's what makes class design and choosing your class unique, is the fact that like, oh, I was able to overcome this because my class can do this, this, and this. And then someone else will be like, well, I didn't have access to that, so I have to do this instead. So I think that's what's interesting. Meanwhile, if you just have where like, oh, well, everyone can get polymorph, you dip 1 point into there. It's like, well, I'll get polymorph, and then I'll polymorph the boss with torture, and then I don't give a shit anymore. And then
but I mean, you say that, and like we only know so like we're playing with Joe, and we have 3 other people. These 3 other people, including myself, have no idea what is meta in this game. We've done 0 research. We don't know jack shit about this game. And that's what makes it fun for us. But Joe, the only reason we know polymorph is strong is like it either falls into one of 2 fields with my game design knowledge, is that it's either A, really good, or they had to nerf the shit out of it to borderline useless, so because the mechanic is inherently good.
And I don't think they should nerf it, because I think if you want to go that route, that's fine.
But none of us are doing that in this run that we're playing, and that's like your main critique. And it's like, well, none of us are even doing that. Like I took one into polymorph for my fire spells.
I get that, but I like having I like playing in the box and then trying to work around the box. Like even the concept of the box being open but having to make my own box is disingenuous.
I too like the box. I'll say the box is a little bit wide on this game, but it's not too wide that it's gonna be a heavy critique for me.
I still like the class system in the game. I just prefer having. I'm also a person that's like, I want to be this, and that's all I want to do, and I just run that route the entire time.
That's what I liked about Maple's story until like every character has a double jump now, and it's like, okay, well then like, why did you make mobility this busted?
That's not true. As a mage, I teleport, sir.
No, mages have double jumps now. Get with the times, Willer.
Here's the thing, right? Here's a good thing about the game. And I don't know if this is the case for everybody, but in this game, every single battle, like every single enemy encounter is memorable for me. Mm-hmm. Like even within Fort Joy, I can be like, oh, this is the place where the guards were laid out in this formation and we had to do this. Or it's like, oh, this is the beach where it had like these fucking alligators. Or like, oh, this is the fucking field where the scarecrows were that like completely swept us in one turn the first time we went.
I'm very excited to get to that point.
And like even outside the normal enemy encounters, which are very memorable for me, the boss fights are always hype as shit to me in this game. I really like the bosses.
Have we even had a boss fight yet, Joe? No, we haven't. We had a near boss dungeon that we went into, and it was this cave where we fought this guy that would have been like 3 different segments. He was kicking our ass, and then like we had to do a reload because we got wiped.
Yeah,
and then.
Trombodoy. It's in the Raucous Rex treasury, and he's like a little ghost skeleton man. Do you remember him, Bradley?
Yes, dude.
Yeah, so Trombodoy's kicking our ass, and then Joe's like, maybe we can sneak through this. None of us have any points into thievery, I think,
except one of us has like 1 or 2.
But we all are just able to transform into rocks, and then we just like wobble through it. And it's like, that worked.
That's sick.
It shouldn't have worked.
It's just like. You'll come up to boss fights, and boss fights are always cool because, like, either one, it'll be a character whose name you've heard in the story up to that point, and you'll be like, oh my god, I'm fighting this guy, or maybe the boss fight will have, like, a different win condition than normal. It's not just reduce HP to 0, and you're like, oh, shit. Mm-hmm. Or it'll just be the simple fact that their character model is 10 times bigger than the biggest model you've seen in the game up to that point, and you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah. There's an encounter that's in a cave that I remember doing where my friends and I were having a really bad time. It was just really rough. Yeah. And we were like, okay, we know this person goes up this ramp and casts spells.
I know exactly the fight you're talking about.
What if we snuck up and put boxes there and it stopped from getting up there? And we did that because we had this telekinesis ring. And we started the fight and she turned and was like, what the fuck? And then we just beat her ass.
Yeah.
The box is good loose in this game when you play through it, probably for the first 2 or 3 times. Mm-hmm. And Joe's probably played it too many times, and the box is like all dingy and it's been out in the rain and it can't really hold anything up. My box is sturdy and strong, fresh from Amazon.
I have another complaint, and this is about the co-op system. When you're doing co-op, you don't have access to any of the main characters in if you're playing single player, basically, like your party, you don't get access to them. You can't bring them with you. And now, technically, you can play as origin characters, where you have their backstory, and that's how you learn the backstory, which I think is cool. That? But who wants to do that? Person. So I have a complaint. I really wish they incorporated them more. Maybe they do incorporate them more, but I'm just misremembering. But I remember when I played with my friends, and we got like a decent distance into the game. But they never came up. We never did any of their side quests, and it kind of feels like you're missing a big part of the game by not having them. But I like the idea of playing with my friends, so I wish.
Because that's the thing. One of those characters, the first time I got to the end of the game with my brother, I was like, oh my god! It feels like this character is so important for the lore and the main story that if he wasn't in our party, I don't even know what the ending would be.
Yeah.
And I guess like I kind of like that in a sense where another game that has like a really bad not another game, but a game that has a really bad story is Monster Hunter World, and so like if you remove those characters,
I walked into things I know. What is this?
If you remove like the core story, like plot and heavy characters, and replace those with your friends and the memories you make along the way, I feel like that's just as nice of an experience, because if you're playing single player, you'll get those experience out of the characters. If you're playing co-op, you'll get it out of the people you're sharing the experience with.
I believe that would be true.
It just kind of is sad that there's a whole section of the game that we're basically not going to have access to because we don't have those characters in our party. But whatever.
Fuck it. I don't know I'm missing that. I'm having a great time.
Yeah, true.
The game all that matters.
Look, dude, you're gonna sit 120 hours into this game, and you're gonna be like, "But we didn't get to do that one 5-hour stretch." It's like, it's not that big of a deal.
I just care about these characters.
Okay, final complaint about the game. This is actually a big one that I actually fucking hate. So there is a mechanic in a game called Source where they're kind of like the dragon voice things in Skyrim. There are innate abilities that your character has that makes them special because you're a sorcerer. So they are skills that you can get over time. You do not have access to this until much later in the game.
Yeah.
And you can either do a side quest to get, there are 2 side quests you can do, but neither of them are really highlighted to you that, hey, this does it and unlocks this ability for you. And I think that's really, really dumb to lock out a core mechanic of the game from your player through something that's optional.
Yeah, it's a huge core mechanic, and since you don't get access to it until like a couple dozen hours in, maybe, whenever I'm playing with people who haven't played it before, even whenever we unlock it, they forget that they have it, just because like we've gotten by without it up till now.
Also, you have an item that takes up an item slot, and you get a bunch of necklace items where that item is, and you're just like, I can't use this. Why do you keep giving me these? Which also feels bad.
This is a lot of complaints for a game that, like, I do think it is a fucking amazing game that more people should play. But it does have, like, some gripes, you know?
Yeah.
Well, that was a unexpectedly passionate talk and fun to sit through, even if I had nothing to contribute.
I'm looking forward to Baldur's Gate 3 when it finally gets finished.
Hey.
Tyler, why don't you tell us about being a special boy who owns a PlayStation 5? You
God.
Yo,
fucking bastard.
This controller is dope.
Oh.
If developers are not designing games using this controller to its fullest capabilities,
that's my fear.
They are doing things wrong. This is what I keep meaning to ask something at work, is if we're going to use this. With projects that we're working on.
You gotta force it. It's too cool from what I understand.
Astro's Playroom, really fun. That's like the game that comes installed with it. Which is like a beta, or it's just like a demo to show off what the controller can do.
It's like a healthy, like 2-hour little demo. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit longer than that. Like, it has a lot of levels, and something that people won't even realize is like how fast you stream into each level and like how smooth the transition is. And it's like, if you're not a developer, you're just like, it's one of those UX things you don't even realize that it's like, oh my God, there was no loading screen in between this level and the next one. I just instantly went into it. It's bonkers.
Have you used the activity feature yet? Where you get to
What's that?
So there's a feature in the PS5 OS where like you get to load into a particular part of the game instantly. So like a use case example could be like, from you open up your PlayStation 5, you load into the fighting game activity that takes you right into the online lobby, and in 5 seconds you go from PlayStation OS to lobby. So like that's one use case. Or like load straight into the co-op mode of a game or something like that.
I haven't even taken the tour of my PS5 yet, and I probably should.
Another example is like you could, if you're playing like an open world game like Spider-Man and you want to collect the backpacks, you can click that achievement and it will load up the screen to show you all your backpacks that you've gotten, and potentially I think it highlights the nearest backpack for you as well.
Whoa, that's cool.
So you can have more order. They basically added project management software into the PlayStation 5, which is kind of funny.
That's cool.
it looks great. Everything on it is great so far. And it comes with a bunch of free games if you have online. Like I have Bloodborne now, like Final Fantasy 15, Final Fantasy 7,
Nice.
God of War. Basically, if it was the one-hit wonder game for the PlayStation 4, you have access to it on the PlayStation 5.
What the fuck are you talking about? That's like a 12-hit wonder console.
Oh, you know, Final Fantasy 7.
You know what I mean?
Wonder.
You know what I
mean? It is a Final Fantasy, so I suppose.
No. The one-hit wonder was God of War. No, it's Persona 5. No, it's Monster Hunter World. No, it's
I said the one-hit wonder game for the console. Like if it's like the best of hits. For the PlayStation.
It's not a one-hit wonder. That is a knockout hit.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Bloodborne 2 on PS5 was so great.
Okay, Soulsborne.
Monster Hunter World 2 on PS5 is fantastic. On the PS4.
Both of those have like sequels in this franchise coming out, so it's all good.
You get what I mean, though.
Yeah.
They have one. Okay, other than probably Uncharted, which is all on the PS4 mostly. You get what I mean.
Yeah.
Actually, there's only one Uncharted game on the PS4. They're PS3.
That's true.
Games.
All of them are PS3 originals.
That's ridiculous to think of. But anyway, I can play Monster Hunter World better than my PC can run it now. It's amazing. Nice. I can load into the Wildlands in less than 30 seconds. Yeah. It's ridiculous. I started playing God of War on it. This game was amazing. I also got a 144 hertz monitor as well, like at the same time I got the PlayStation. And so like all of it's just been fantastic. The controller I love. It's bigger than the PS4's controller is, and like here I'll hold it up for y'all right here. I really like the way they've taken the bottom half of it and kind of adopted the Xbox model, because the Xbox has always had better controllers than Sony.
Disagree.
I mean, you can disagree and be wrong, and that's okay.
Have fun with your non-existent D-pads.
Yeah. I mean, the Pro controller has more D-pad inputs than the PlayStation will ever be capable of.
More D-pad.
Also made by Microsoft.
No, just no.
Microsoft was able to put a fight stick into a controller, and Sony will never be able to do that.
I don't want a fight stick into the controller. I want a pad. I want a D-pad.
It has a D-pad.
Anyways.
It's big. It feels nice in the hand. They finally added the something they were talking about was like the trigger haptics, where like if you pull the trigger halfway down, it only pulls the trigger halfway in the game. And I'm like, that happened on Xbox One like 7 years ago. So it's nice to see it on PS5.
No, that's been on PlayStation. I think the haptic triggers means that the trigger gives resistance.
Yeah, it pushes back on
game. So say, you're shooting a gun and it has no resistance, but say you're using the R2 to like push a block, maybe they can program it to where like it gives you resistance, so like it feels harder to press the button for that.
Dark Souls becomes the most inaccessible game because you have to push further down to cut through the guy.
I haven't noticed that yet.
Bradley with his big two-handed sword is gonna have to like.
I'm just imagining a guy like with a vein popping out on his forehead trying to squeeze his R trigger.
It's really bad that I got the PlayStation 5 first, because y'all know more about it than I do.
Yeah.
But none of y'all will like help me with it because y'all are like mad at me.
Dude,
I don't know anything about it.
That's enough of this conversation.
Anyways, don't buy PlayStation 5s ever, because I need to get mine first.
Yeah. Buy Toriko instead.
Hey.
Tyler, why don't you tell us about Bravely Deep? Actually, let's give you a break. You've been talking. I'm going to talk now. I'm going to talk about Persona 5 Strikers, the most pleasant surprise in video gaming history.
Aw, shit.
More than Memory of Melodies?
More than, what's that game? More than 13 Sentinels?
I knew 13 Sentinels was a banger. I just didn't know how much of a banger. And I knew I would like Melody of Memory, because inherently, at the very worst, it would be a shoddy rhythm game with music from a series I love. And it turned out into a great rhythm game. So
speaking of which, go buy 13 Sentinels. I'm looking at you. Go do it.
Don't forget.
Don't forget.
I'm going to coerce Bradley to play it because I miss my children.
I don't know how many times I have to say this. You guys don't have to coerce me into playing it.
I'm going, as in, like, I want to experience it again.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah, let's.
Yeah, Joe can not join because of distance. So, the thing that surprised me about Persona 5 Strikers is the Persona games are no stranger to spin-offs, right? And while they're all quality, they all have like elements that push me away. So, for example, Persona 4 has the fighting games, which are actually pretty good. Not many complaints there. I like the Persona 4 fighting games. The stories I don't care for. There's the Persona Equestrian Trinity series where it's like little dungeon crawlers where it mixes 3, 4, and 5 into this game. But like the problem with those comes into the writing of the characters and like the fact that they're canon but non-canon a lot of the time, where like they don't matter or all the characters forget about them. Like in the crossover games, usually it ends with the characters' minds being wiped, and the writing of the characters is very gimmicky. Like it'll take like, this girl likes eating meat, so she's gonna talk about meat 50% of the time. So like, this guy likes training for boxing, so he's gonna always talk about, like, it really weighs down on you. And then like the Persona 4 dancing game is a proper sequel. Like it happens after, but like the gameplay is very different and the writing is just not great. I do not like that story. What's crazy about Persona 5 Strikers is that it is a direct sequel to Persona 5 that they meticulously made to play like Persona 5, but in an action game. And and the writing is just on par with Persona 5, and the characterization is potentially better than Persona 5. So they managed to, in some ways, one-up the source material of the spin-off, which is unheard of for the Persona games. So, Persona 5 Strikers is... damn, I can't talk about certain things because Tyler's right in the middle. But basically, Joker... No, it's cool. I won't spoil anything. But you should hear about this. Come back. He's fucking gone. I won't spoil it, but you should hear about the game just so you know what it is. Because for the longest time, I thought this would just be the Hyrule Warriors of Persona, where it's just a Musou game with Persona characters. But really, it is a 50-plus hour real-ass JRPG where Joker comes back for summer vacation, and the Phantom Thieves are hanging out. They're going to have a fun summer time together, but then shit starts going wrong all across Japan. So it becomes a road trip story of the Phantom Thieves in an RV driven by Makoto, because she's the best driver in the group. And everyone just hangs out in the back. It's a really spacious RV. And they're hitting up, like, Japan town after town after town, which have...
It's Stardust Crusaders.
It's Stardust Crusaders, but good.
Yeah.
So, like, they keep hitting towns after towns, and, like, you get to walk around outside. So, like, you get to go to Shibuya and do everything you did in Persona, right? Persona 5. But then they made new areas for each of the locations you stop by, which is sick. So, like, you're walking around, and in one of the areas, you're in a location that is in Yakuza, and they both look identical. And, like, Makoto, who's a big Yakuza fan, which is something you can completely miss about her, because it's, like, side dialogue that you have to, like, go find. She, like, comments that's, like, a famous bridge from, like, Yakuza movies, and, like, that's just really cute.
I saw a clip where she references Yakuza like a dragon at some sort of store. And then I think if you go to the same store in that game, you can buy the Persona 5 soundtrack and play the music there.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know about that. They're both Atlas games, so that makes sense. Mm-hmm. So, like, but, okay, so the story's, like, Persona games need to stop doing what they do every time, because, like, it's very predictable how Persona story is going to end. Like, the writing of the story is never going to super impress you, with the exception of Royal and 3, which I was impressed by both. But, like, the dialogue is very, like, let's explain everything 2 to 3 times. So in this game, instead of palaces, there's things called jails. And I got so frustrated with the number of times where, like, wow, I guess the jails are different from the palaces. Yes, you made that very clear many times, stop saying it. And then, like, after, like, a scene happens, like, wow, what did we just witness? And then they're like, well, we just witnessed this and this and this. It's like, okay. And it always ends with you killing God. That has to happen. It's a Persona game. I get it. But the gods are like, they all have very similar goals in mind, which I won't say much about. But like, if Joe, you play Persona 5, it's very the god entity, as it were, in this game is a very similar scheme to the 1 in 4, to the 1 in 5, kind of the 1 in 3. So like, I wish they would move past that. But that being said, the characters and like the adventure is super solid. Actually, really fun story. It introduces 2 new Phantom Thieves. I love them both. Great additions to the team. But it does not have Sumire from Royal, because this, even though Royal is canon, this was like made in, like they were made at the same time, so they couldn't pull from each other, which is kind of weird.
That is weird.
Yeah, but it has a new red hair girl for you people like, so that'll do. So the combat is like what really blew me away, right? So I was expecting Muso games. Love myself some Warrior games. Me and Joe have talked before how much we like Pirate Warriors. I love Hyrule Warriors. So I was like, at the very least, whenever Omega Force gets a certain property, they always do it justice. But this game is something else, man. You are playing a third-person platformer a lot of the time, or action game. It's kind of like moving around a level in Devil May Cry. Where like you get to play any of the Phantom Thieves. You're moving around. You're solving a Persona 5 style dungeon, which I was expecting. So it is not like in a Warriors game, especially before Pirate Warriors 4. You're just you're in a map, but you're kind of moving around rooms to get to squared rooms where you do combat, right? And you clear territories. This game has 0 territories. It is not laid out like that at all. It is laid out like a Persona 5 dungeon, where it's very vertical, like you're climbing buildings and you're going through alleyways and like plazas and stuff. And what happens is you can sneak up on shadows, and when you sneak up on a shadow, it starts a mini Muso style encounter where like anywhere from 3 big enemies to like a little shy of 100 small enemies will spawn for you to like kill. And it's interesting because like they adapted the Persona 5 gameplay into this so well, where at any point you can hold R1 and you'll summon your Persona and you'll stop time. So it plays more like Final Fantasy VII Remake than Persona 5. So it's an action game and you're doing square triangle combos, but you hold R1 and you freeze time, and you do almost every single spell from Persona 5 is in this game. So it's like you have the buff spells, you have the debuff spells, you have the spells that do status effects, you have all the same healing spells, and they all take SP, and you have to manage your SP because you can very quickly run out. So like it's invoking all the feelings you get from Persona 5 with an action gameplay. There's weaknesses. Can you stop? No, you can't stop time in Persona 5.
No,
well,
it's like you stop time as in like you stop and have your persona out, and you get to choose what you want to do in a turn-based setting.
Yes, okay, that's why you're confused. Yeah, so you basically get to play turn-based, and enemies have weaknesses, and you get to do all-out attacks and one mores. So the way it works is like an enemy will have like 5 yellow shields, and hitting their weaknesses will chip down that shield faster, and when it's zeroed out, they're knocked down, and you get to go in for an all-out attack. So it's got all those mechanics translated really well, and each character plays so uniquely. So on a base level, almost every character, and the terminology here I'm going to use is like, if I say combo 3, it means you did 3 squares, then 1 triangle, right? So every character's combo 3 summons their persona to do an elemental attack at the end. So you can do free elemental attacks and chip away at enemies' stuff, but it won't do as much damage or have as much effect. But then you have stuff like Joker, his combo 2, combo 3, and combo 5 all do a different spell, and it depends on the persona you have equipped. So you have a Velvet Room that you can do all the same fusion stuff that you do in a Persona game. So
cool.
These spells will range from like, okay, he did this physical attack, like he did Heat Wave, which is the name of a physical attack, or he did Mabufu, which is the wide range ice spell, or you can like he can heal the party for free, or cast a free like party wide defense buff, which is like, that's pretty crazy to just have that mapped out to one of your combo buttons. And then you have stuff like Yusuke has a combo which will give everyone the speed up buff.
Nice.
Haru has like she can do so everyone has guns as well, and Haru's like a gun specialist where you can give her like her grenade launcher and just like mash that to melt people. But if you
I saw a clip of that.
Yeah, if you hold triangle, her and her persona will summon, and she pulls out her bazooka, and her persona like opens up her like stomach, which has the guns, and they just like continuously fire like guns in a direction. And each character has gimmicks that they learn. So like for example, Haru, she has a small combo string where she only has like 3 or 4 combos, but you can hold the triangle button at the end of them, and they keep going and going, and she gains progressively more armor, so she can't be stopped. So she has a move where like she just spins to win, and like you could just keep going. You have stuff like Morgana can turn into the car form, and then you press triangle to do like free wind damage. You have stuff like Makoto just has insane combos. She's so fun to play. Yeah, like everyone is done super well. The new characters have very unique stuff going on too. And yeah, it just comes together to a really fun game that, to put a bow in it, is the perfect difficulty. I played on hard. I don't think I've ever played a game that is so consistently the perfect difficulty for me. Always challenged, never over leveled, and I did every single side quest. Never felt like I had an easy time, but also it was never frustrating because like you have a limited resource of items you can buy. So you can buy SP items and healing items, and you can also cook with Joker. And you have kind of a limited source, and you have to do a couple of battles in the dungeon and come back outside and procure those items after they restock. So like you can stay healed up, but if you're not careful in a battle, like you can have your party just wiped out. Because these enemies, they attack pretty frequently. So in like a Pirate Warriors 4, you don't usually have to stop attacking even if the enemy's doing shit. You just dash out. And here, you are not the aggressor. You have to pick your moments, and like a lot of the game turned out to be like I baton pass to a character while an enemy is focusing on another character to go behind them, and it's like depending on how long the enemy attack is the longer combo I can do. So like it had a really good flow that does not play like your traditional Warriors game. So
cool.
That's Strikers. I loved it. It was like they made a spin-off that is genuinely just as fun as the original Persona game, and I think Joe should definitely give this a try once he's done with his Western RPG weird design hellhole.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's that. Tyler, why don't you vent a little bit about Bravely Default 2 before we do WandaVision?
This game sucks.
Man,
that
Bravely
sucks.
Default is my favorite game of all time. And this one just sucks. Like, this game should have been made on the DS. It probably would have been better.
Yeah, you were telling me about the problems, and I was really amazed. I was like, wow, how can a studio who made, such a...
They didn't make it. That's the thing.
Yeah, I was like, how can a studio that made such a loved first game do this? And Tyler's like, very little people involved in making the first game were involved in making Bravely Default 2.
Interesting.
Yeah.
If at all.
Yeah. No, some were. Probably good portions of it. The art direction translated to Switch is downright horrendous.
I think this game looks go, man.
Yeah.
The characters could not look worse. The voice acting is terrible. It seems like they may have just like picked up people around the studio to do voices for them.
Ooh, and then you find out they're all popular voice actors who have big fan bases.
Which is sad. Not for the people who like them, but that this work has poorly translated the reflection of their skills. Like you first of all, the game is terribly paced to a point that the game has to give you a fifth party member in order to balance out this. Like, I don't know who, like, I'm sorry, whoever did the balance on this game should be fired. Straight up just did a terrible job. And I had to go back and compare. I was like, what was the health bars like for the first 2 bosses in Bravely Default? So if you never played Bravely Default, it is a spinoff of the classic 4 Heroes of Light Final Fantasy series. It's supposed to be a revival of that genre. It's supposed to have like classes, 4 Heroes of Light, crystals, yada yada.
But like with a good story, so like it's trying to move that genre forward.
Yeah,
and the way they do like add spice to it is the mixing and matchings and having 2 classes at the same time, as well as the Brave and Default system.
Yeah.
So the Brave and Default system is something that was also done in Octopath Traveler. It's something that has like a light adaptation in Persona 5 Royal, where the Baton Pass combo system.
Yeah, I could see that.
And it's where it takes the formula of you get a character and they get 1 attack per turn and allows them to have up to 3 or 4 more attacks in that same turn.
Mm-hmm.
With the default system, it lets you basically, that's your block or guard. And it's basically is almost supposed to be like a simulated chess match between you and the enemies you're encountering, where do I go all out? Do I default to save up? When do I default to save up? So far, I've really just had a terrible time with it. The character, like, right off the bat, I just hate what the characters look like. It's supposed to be an adaptation of what they look like on DS, but the only reason these characters look like that on DS is because that was the limitation of the hardware. Yeah. But also, it was an adaptation of Final Fantasy III Remake on the DS. So while all these games are for handheld consoles, the Switch is a more powerful console. So you think they would be able to do something. So like the name of the studio is Clayworks, and all the characters look like they were made out of clay.
Oh god.
So maybe that's it.
Like, this is a similar complaint I have with the Diamond and Pearl remakes, which while look cute, are like, they don't even look as good as the, like, say, Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. And like, people are like, well, it's supposed to be emulating the old style. It's like, but bro, did you see how good like those games looked on the 3DS? Like, this is not a good looking game as far as visuals go. So there's no real excuse.
The main antagonist, which you see about 2 or 3 hours in, after the character you're given to basically just breeze you through the first section of story is killed. His skin is gray. It looks like the character was made out of sculpting clay. They don't have the physics on the hair done correctly in the game because of like limitations, I guess, on the hardware or just the experience of the team. So like, he has this long flowing hair that's like stiff, and it seems like the bones for it were only rigged to go down like this one length of hair. And so like, they wave around like this, and then it sounds like they told him to do a Russian accent, but they literally chose the person who was like the 8th grader who was really bad at doing a Russian accent.
This is a big bummer because, so while I haven't finished Bravely Default, and I think that game has some terrible pacing issues, I quite enjoy the combat, and I think the health values are at a good level, and I really like the characters, and their voice acting is super good in Bravely Default 1. I immediately like all the characters. Adea is voiced by Morgana, and she's doing a great job. Ring a Bell is super fun, and even Agnes's yelling, speaking, I like. So it's a bummer that like all the voice actors you don't like, and apparently you don't like the character writing either.
I don't like the character writing either. Like, I actually think Bravely Second might be better than Bravely Default 2.
And that is a disliked game, yes?
It was a like spin-off sequel to, it's like Bravely Default 1.5, basically. Now the game has some nice UX in the sense that random encounters are no longer random anymore. They adopted the Persona type combat that's been done forever, where you see the enemies in the world now. You can engage with them.
The old 1994 Earthbound strategy took them.
Yeah. But the thing that sucks about it is like, at the very beginning, no, that's not the main antagonist, so I don't know who the fuck that is. That's like Father Time or some shit. Delete that.
He's so bad.
Like, hold on, I'll see if I can find this in a second.
This feels like a game made by an inexperienced team who somehow got a big budget license.
Yeah, and also like, what I heard about, I played a little bit Bravely Default 2's demo. and I've heard y'all talk about, and Bravely Default has definitely a mechanic where like you need to grind out a bit to get your, because the whole point is you get jobs and you need to grind out the jobs to get the skills that make the jobs good.
Yeah, the passive abilities are a big part of strategizing in that game.
Yeah, and I feel like from playing the demo, it felt like they're like, oh, Bravely Default is all about grinding up your characters, so that's where we're gonna just make you do to make you guys good.
So here's the thing that that doesn't exist in this game. You don't have to grind in this game, more as you just have to actually fight every encounter that you're given at the very start, like you come into contact with. So that's the thing, is it's like you can see the enemies, you have to fight them, otherwise you won't be able to kill the boss. And let me give you some context to this. So in Bravely Default 1, and it's the same in this game, the first boss you fight is a white mage and a knight or monk or whatever, a tank class. In Bravely Default 1, in this first combat encounter, they have 400 health and 300 health. In this first fight, in Bravely Default 2, they have 2,800 health and 3,300 health.
Okay, but in Bravely Default 1, at that point of the game, you're hitting for like 11 to 20? What are you hitting for here?
11 to 20.
No!
Yes. They didn't know. Yeah, you are still hitting shit damage. So the only way to beat, essentially, I'm still doing this strategy. The only way to beat these first 4 to 5 bosses in the game, you poison the boss and heal and default until it ends. Like, that is the basic strategy right now. Like, I even, like, there's a side boss that you encounter after the first area. There's 2 of them, actually. One is, like, this flaming unicorn that it's like, okay, this looks like one of the enemies that you would fight in the township, which was a side piece of Bravely Default 1, where you have random, like, special, unique bosses show up. Does he have gray skin and really long hair and a big sword, Joe?
I can't tell about the gray skin, but he's got really long hair.
He should have gray skin and a big sword. I don't want to see any more spoilers.
Big blue sword?
Joe, just stop. We'll figure it out later.
Okay.
Let me see. Yeah, that's him. Okay, so
cool.
His skin is gray, it looks like. He talks like this, and he sounds like this the whole time.
Oh, God.
And he is the biggest bad and the smartest man. Everyone respects men who talk like this.
On a scale of, like, sexy Dio voice to that shit, that's pretty low, man. That is not what you want from your final antagonist.
The voice acting is probably on par with Ghost Story's English dub.
Oh,
Okay, dude, that's rude. That's really fucked up.
That is rude.
I'm sorry. Elvis is the only outstanding character, and he doesn't compare to Ring a Bell. Like,
Ring a Bell's a classic Sanji type, but I love
They did kind like, the only thing that has it going is they like are kind of delving into the concept of asterisks more. But like asterisks in Bravely Default 1 were used as an excuse to like obtain job classes that you could like normally got through crystal advancement.
Well, it's cool that they're getting lore now. I don't think that.
Yeah, they have, and I mean that's what the book is about in this game, is like the book is the mystery. You're obtaining all the asterisks. That's what Elvis's main plan is. Here's probably the worst part in the game. You remember how as you obtained each character, in Bravely Default 1, they have a special ability, which is basically like a super move. And like as you use their super move, the music changes, you get a buff while the music is going, and it really enhances the combat experience. And you're like, all right, this is my checkmate or check move to beat this encounter.
You get to name your super move and customize how you get points to activate it and what it does, as I recall.
You don't get to do any of that shit in this game. You barely get them in this game. So like only the main guy character at the start has one. And
maybe
then
they'll unlock one over time.
Yes, you unlock them as you get each crystal over time, but then you can't customize them at all. Oh. You can't do shit with them. It's just absolutely terrible.
Yeah,
I hate it.
Bravely Default has a lot of side mechanics, like that town that you get to build and fucking street pass shit, and it seems like this just has less in these regards.
Also, the dungeons have dead ends in them, like old school, like mazes used to have in like D&D and Final Fantasy 3, and I'm like,
Bravely Default has dead ends too. You're just misremembering.
Yeah, I misremember them, and I was gonna say they probably had them in that too, and I fucking hate it.
Yeah.
Like, you wasted space in a dungeon is something that aggravates the shit out of me, and Persona's dungeon design has ruined that for me.
Because there is no wasted space. You're always moving or getting to a point that you have to go to unlock another point.
Or you're getting some bonus objective.
Yeah, like a will seed or something. Yeah.
Yeah. So grinding in Bravely Default 2 isn't as much hey, you should probably do this, as much as it's just built into the pacing of the game now, which is a little aggravating. So like my job classes in Chapter 2 for the starting classes are already almost maxed out. Like they're level 10 of 12. And I just been fighting every encounter that I come across.
In my opinion, when I was playing on normal, the grinding is built into Bravely Default 1. But that's my opinion.
It is built in, but I didn't have to grind until later in the game.
Like I hit a point.
I
hit a point where I was getting fucked by a dude who did an AoE lightning attack, and you'd have to get Red Mage to level 7, which was higher than that was either higher or one below my highest level main class. So it's like I have to get multiple people to Red Mage 7 just to get lightning resistance. So I don't know.
They have alleviated that in some sense. They've introduced something like an item called JP orbs and XP orbs, which basically is like just a free burst of experience that you can do. Like there's quests in the game now, like that were in Octopath Traveler. And you get just equipments and stuff for doing that. And through doing those side quests, you can get those JP orbs. And the large one grants you 750 job points, which is level 1 through 4 of a new class.
That's handy, actually.
Yeah. It helps you jumpstart when you get new classes. So that's what you save them for. I hope new players realize that that's what those are for. You obviously, a designer of that would say, oh, you can use them whenever, but no, you can't. You should really save those for when you get a new class you want to spec into. Yeah, there's not even a lot of passive abilities anymore. I've got through the first 8 classes, and I think total I'm able to unlock maybe 10 passives that I can actually add on.
That's a bummer because I actually really liked the skills and passives you get in Default.
Also, so enemy encounters are fucking terrible. Every single encounter has 4 to 6 enemies in it. It's just absolutely horrendous. You can't flee from if you have an encounter where you have to run away or you want to run away because you feel like you'll die. You have to. It takes anywhere between 7 to 10 attempts per with all your characters. Yeah, it's absolutely horrendous. You can't run away, and all the combats. I guess they thought, oh, because you can see the combat now, you'll be ready for it. And it's no, they run at you at a speed much faster than your character, and then once you get higher level than that enemy, they just run away from you to a point where your character can't actually catch them.
Oh no!
And then you can't even grind more off that enemy?
Oh, what the hell, dude! This is bumming me out. Look, you said a limited time. Let's drop it here so we can finish off with WandaVision. Do you have any last statements? Are you gonna keep playing the game?
I'm gonna keep playing it, just because I need a JRPG break from Persona. I played a good section of it over the holidays. I just need a break. Mm-hmm. If you feel compelled to get Bravely Default 2, get Octopath Traveler instead. If you don't like Octopath, go buy DS and get Bravely Default 1. This game is just not good. I feel really bad for saying that as a developer, but this team really missed the mark on the experience that this game is trying to capture.
Do they just not take pride in their work or something?
No, it's brand new studio that was given this IP.
Why?
Probably a lot of
IP?
Because Because
Why was it not the same studio?
Maybe
Square Enix doesn't care about it. That's why.
I guess.
maybe they were like, dude, we'll do it for like $1 million. That's all. That like we'll take that low budget and we'll just do it. They're like,
Jeez.
sold.
Our clay models only cost $35.
I really don't know. And like people are giving it decent reviews online. Like IGN gave it like an 8 or 9. I'm just like, no, this game is really bad.
Those are bot reviews, man.
I even tried like switching it to the Japanese voice actors, and I'm like, I watch a lot of anime to know that even this is mediocre at best.
Maybe what if Tyler's wrong, y'all? What if this game's great?
No.
I'm morbidly curious, but like it's your favorite series, basically.
That's
So
the only reason I'm playing it. Is I'm morbidly curious.
I put a lot of stock in, but I want to see what kind of trash fire this really is. Sounds kind of fun.
That's why I'm playing it. So I have this theory that that there's significantly less classes than the game is looking like.
Oh, no.
Because in the first game, I think there was like 26 or something classes.
Very healthy amount of classes. I'm still unlocking those motherfuckers when I boot up that thing.
And they're unique too.
Yeah.
And even the second game was able to like add a certain spin on some of the classes. I'm like, the classes in this game, the first 6 or 8, I just got to the Berserker. It sucks. The main character is pirate themed in the form of that he's a sailor.
Wait, you just sold me.
But he's not a pirate though. Like he says Yahar when he does attacks, no matter what class he is, and that's the only time he does anything sailorish or piratey. And it's just like the most annoying Yahar.
Just like my favorite pirate piece of fiction, One Piece. Sounds great.
Gum Yahar!
All right, Wandavision. Wandavision. Let's do it. Tyler, why don't you slander Wandavision?
WandaVision's
Fair.
And now everyone else, WandaVision's like one of the coolest TV experiences I've ever had.
WandaVision was really fun to watch on a week-to-week basis for sure. It must also be fun to binge, especially if you're binging with someone else. If you have someone to trade theories with, this show is great.
I definitely would not have survived watching this week to week. I would have stopped after episode 2.
But you would have been theorizing with me, and you would have been like, you know what? Maybe you like theorizing. I know this about you.
Mm-hmm.
So here's my thing. I am not as smart as y'all are to keep up with Marvel as good as y'all do. And even probably with manga too.
We've watched all the same movies, bro.
Yeah, I think I'm the only one that has some prior comic knowledge.
Yeah.
The transition and format, I was like, until after watching, like I was talking to Kelly and I was like, oh, Jimmy Woo is the FBI guy from Ant-Man. I've seen Ant-Man multiple times, but I didn't know that. I didn't put that together because it's a TV format. And I was just like, this is a TV show now. They've done TV shows before. This isn't relevant because I don't know these 2 characters at the start.
This isn't like Daredevil or Luke Cage, which were both good shows, by the way. But like, they were not connected to the MCU. This is heavy. This is like the future of the MCU, if anything.
Yeah, and it is. And it's
this is the epilogue to fucking Endgame.
Yeah.
I wasn't ready for that. And so I just wasn't mentally ready. So it's like,
okay, I'm pretty sure me and Joe multiple times brought up like, wow, this is really pushing the MCU forward. This is super important.
I was completely ignoring what y'all were saying. I was going I'm like, spoiler free.
Wait.
We never spoiled anything when we talked about
unless it was in spoiler tags, which do.
See, that's
away.
The thing.
Hey, like spoiler free for me is I know jack shit going in. I don't even know what characters are in it. I don't want to know who's revealed. I don't even want to know who the protagonists are. I don't want to know that. I want to experience it. I don't want to know what's Wanda and Vision. I didn't even know Vision was in it.
See, like,
motherfucker, the thing is called WandaVision.
I don't want to know that. I just want to watch it. I just want to experience it.
I don't want to know the name of the show. Sorry, Bradley, you go.
Before the show came out, I wasn't planning on watching it because I was like, oh, it's probably just going to be, fucking some side thing like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And, I thought Vision was cool in Age of Ultron, but then, after that, I didn't really care about Wanda or Vision that much. And then the show started coming out, and everyone's like, no, this is required watching, and it's fucking good. And also, these are now our two favorite characters in the MCU. And I was like, well, I guess I gotta watch this now.
So that's
and I watched
point.
it.
Like, how was everyone on WandaVision or Wanda and Vision before starting? Because
Yeah.
like, I thought they were okay in Age of Ultron, but I actually kind of really liked them in Civil War. You got this sense that like Wanda was transitioning into like being a hero, which she's not used to, and I like the fact that her accidentally killing like a building of people is like what sets off that plot. So like she's pretty important, and I did find I while their like initial stuff in Infinity War were like they're out running away and like they're dating or whatever, I didn't care for that. I really cared for how their storyline ended in those movies with her having to kill Vision. I was like, I feel the emotions you're portraying right now, so you're doing your job. So they weren't my favorites, is what I'm getting at, but I didn't dislike them.
Yeah, I like they were to me like on the tier of like War Machine level. We're like, oh, they're here. They have some sort of personal connection. I like Wanda's importance in Civil War, like you said. I thought that was a great way to like use a powerful character to spark off this thing. So I was just like, okay, they're just side characters. They're just going to be supplemental for the Avengers movies. I think it was really cool that we have Avengers, quote, only characters that only show up during the Avengers movies.
Yeah.
And so you flesh out the cast a little bit more, and we can like connect them to those movies.
Okay, and now how are we all feeling after? Because right now they're like, they got to be top 10. Wanda's top 5 for me, dude. I think she's so well written in this show.
I wish I had Vision as a friend, so like if I'm ever going through a tough time in life, I could ask him for advice.
Yeah.
Where are you at, Joe?
I like. So I liked Doctor Strange when it came out, the movie. I was like, that was kind of cool. That was trippy. I really liked the ending of Doctor Strange. I thought that was a great way to deal with his boss fight. They announced Doctor Strange 2. I was like, cool. Gonna see more Doctor Strange. I'm all for that. I watched WandaVision. It's probably now my number one, like most anticipated, like Marvel movie now. I am so excited.
Oh, I was asking about the characters, but yeah, if we want to get into it.
Yeah, I'm with Joe. I'm very excited for the Multiverse of Madness because Doctor Strange is my favorite.
Mm-hmm.
I could give two fucking shits if Wanda's in it or not.
But that's
why she is. That's confirmed.
I know she is, but I don't care. Like, I would rather Wanda have died and learn the story of Agatha because Agatha knows more. So like, I'm like, can we get more Agatha?
It was Agnes all along, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like, okay, let's talk about the show because the format is sitcoms. So they made a 30-minute sitcom that is heavily influenced by sitcoms as their first TV show, which I think is pretty brilliant. Like, it is such a way of like we're stepping into a new medium and we're not taking like a soft story. Like you would think they would open up with a Winter Soldier and Falcon, right? You think that would be
coming out this week, or I think comes out tomorrow or something like that.
19th. It comes out Friday.
Yeah.
Cool. So I'll give that a shot. I have no expectations for that, by the way. I thought they would open with something like that.
They said it's going to be less thought provoking than WandaVision. Yeah. I'm much more excited for it. I just don't.
That is so.
You didn't ask how I feel about these characters. You said, "Oh, they have development." I'm like, isn't progress the same thing as development, which they don't have any of?
Development is fleshing out the characteristics and the personality of a character. Character progression is their progression through a long-running character arc.
I feel like these characters move sideways up until the very last episode.
Right, so they're developed and then they progress. Crazy how it works.
I mean, I just learned more about these characters after, 8 years?
Yeah.
Versus I get one lore drop movie in Iron Man 2 and know more about Iron Man than I do these characters. Like, why the fuck do I have to wait 8 years for
the
this?
Secondary main character of the MCU? Yeah, you do know more about him after 20 movies where he's like the god.
No, after 2 movies, like...
Oh, main character.
The main character of 2 films versus the side characters of 5?
Look, I'm just angry that it's like dragged over 8 years that we're just now figuring out this stuff.
It's more of like they were never given the opportunity to shine until WandaVision.
Yeah, guess what? Hey, guess what? One of them's still dead. So
No,
Maybe
it's
Like
not.
he shine.
Well,
By the way, mega spoilers about WandaVision.
right,
Probably
okay.
should-
So I love the mystery of like what's going on with the sitcoms, but I also like how they really adhere to the camera style. So we're gonna talk technical stuff, so Tyler can zone out or whatever.
Very experimental.
I like technical stuff.
So like I love how they handled like the sets. Like they made a single shot sitcom 40 style with a laugh track. And like the jokes were very of the era, so I thought it was very charming. The jokes were very dated, but in it with like just a tinge of modern, like tongue in cheek, like we know what we're doing. But then also like the overarching mystery of like what is going on is super fun.
Yeah,
and, like
I'm like, who is the beautiful mind who not only came up with the premise for the show, but also was like, we're gonna film it this way. It's so cool to me.
It's really cool because this is not what happens in House of M, or it doesn't go TV.
So, yeah, I thought it was going to go House of M, which is in the comics, Wanda creates an entirely different reality, and then by the end of it, basically kills every mutant on the planet. That's the TLDR.
Classic Wanda storyline.
Oh, yeah.
So I thought it was going to be an inverse of House of M, and I think everyone else on the internet did too, where it's like she realizes the only way to get her family is to consume the whole world and just make it possible that these superhero people could exist. And you get all the mutants instead. Spoiler, that doesn't happen. Probably for the better, in my opinion, but we'll get to that later.
I think over-theorizing ruined the show for some people, where they're like, where's Mephisto? Where's Doctor Strange? I'm like, shut up! It's a story about WandaVision. But like the
Story.
Like, oh my god! So like, it's like a thing where it's like, it's hard to tell if Wanda's doing it at the start, because you know she's involved in it, but you don't know how much she knows, and you find out like she doesn't know how it started, but now she's going with it, so it's very morally gray, because like, sure, you didn't do it on purpose, but you're perpetuating it, and these people are suffering. That scene where Norn breaks out and then Vision has to like put him back in because it's so creepy is so disturbing. And at the end of like near the end of the show, it's like, please let my daughter out of her room. Like, I just want to see her. It's like, oh my god, this is so fucked.
The first 3 episodes is the most similar a piece of media has made me feel to the early days of like the SCP Foundation fiction.
Yeah.
I was so off-put, and I'm like, this just feels so creative and creepy, and I love it.
Yeah, and then like there's the scenes where Wanda or Vision like snap out of it for a little bit, where like Wanda's like, Vision, stop him, in the first episode. That's like that's like the hooker of the show. It's like, what is going on here? And
and what's great about that episode too is when that moment happens. So you mentioned the technical portion of the show. So in that first episode, they have just, like wall left, wall right, back wall, no ceiling.
Yeah.
Like it's very simple set, and that's how they filmed it. But when that moment happens, they rotate the camera 180 degrees where you would see that wall that you're viewing everything from, which is really weird. And they changed how the angle is presented as well. So it was like a really good way to showcase like something's really wrong.
Yeah.
Something's up.
And then like, so the first 5 episodes are sitcoms, and then wait, how many episodes were there?
It's
9.
There's 9. So there's 3 episodes of sitcoms, and the 4th one is
the rainbow episode, basically.
And it's the intermission break where we get to see what's going on the outside.
Yeah, which I think is a very interesting concept. I just didn't care very much for like the obvious bad guy villain who's super obvious, and Rainbow is a character who was a child in Captain Marvel, which is a movie I don't love, and now she's grown up. I like the story of like she was blipped and her mother died, and then she's back and she didn't get to spend those last moments with her mother, which is a grief that she can share with Wanda. So like that's pretty cool. And Darcy is like, all right, there goes Darcy from Thor. Which I did not realize that was like, I never thought I'd see a Thor character.
I never thought I'd see her again, but I thought she was really entertaining in WandaVision.
I did too.
She made me laugh from time to time, but she also made me roll my eyes from time to time. I like when she's
I like it because she's very much almost like the personification of us, because she walks in there, it's like, what the fuck is going on here?
I like how she gets invested in the sitcom. She's like, I can't wait to see what happens next. But like,
You're talking about episode 5, and that's actually the only thing that kind of like that's what brought me to start enjoying the show.
Mhm.
That's when I felt like it was Marvel again. I was like, oh, cool. We get to see the fallout of like people being blipped back into existence. And I'm like, yo, that's dope. I really liked that side content because I don't even care about Rambo so much. I knew that character would come back like from
Marvel.
Captain Marvel, yeah, because I thought that's who would become the next Iron Man, actually.
Yeah.
Which that's supposed to be Ironheart, which is a thing they're doing eventually down the road, but it's not Rambo.
Yeah, she's Spectre or something. I don't know anything.
I was very glad to see our girl.
She was cool.
Yeah, I actually liked her character, but like that villain though, he is such a down point of the show. It's like you're such a loser. I forgot Hayward. Hayward sucks.
Hayward? Yeah. He's the worst Howard. He's the inverse Howard. We're like, oh, he's a good guy. No, he's a bad guy.
No, we were never like, oh, he's a good. It's like from the first episode, you're like, okay, you're him, you're this character. But I do like how it's implied that he forces Wanda to kind of like go through grief just to see what would happen if, like, I think the idea is like maybe she can put him back together, but something way crazier happened.
Kelly really liked that we had Quicksilver from Fox X-Men movies.
That is one of my complaints about the show. That episode blew me and Joe's mind. We're like, what the fuck? They're doing it. And then it's just some random dude who gets a boner joke. Lame.
I thought it was fucking hilarious. It's kind of mean because
it's kind of mean.
It's real. It is because 100% you don't do a casting like that. Because that's a meta casting. Yeah. That's not like, oh, he just also happens to fit the bill. It's he played this exact same character.
He is Quicksilver.
Yeah, he is Quicksilver, and now we're putting him in here where this character existed. Like it was obviously like a troll pig. I thought it was funny that he was Ralph. That's the better joke, I think, where like that was who Agatha was complaining about the entire time.
He's Ralph? He's the husband, Ralph?
Yeah, he's the husband.
Okay, turnaround. Great character.
Yeah. I thought that was so fucking funny. Because I got the last episode, and Agnes references Ralph a lot in the show. I was like, and when we finally get revealed that about Agatha and everything, it's like, oh, we're never going to meet fucking Ralph. That kind of sucks. And we do. It's like, great. I've been satisfied. But speaking of Agnes, I really like that character. I think
who? Agatha,
Agnes.
Yes, she's super entertaining.
Yeah. Right off the bat, I was just like, you're in on some way. Like I could tell immediately, like you're a bigger role to play in this because you just don't show up every.
I mean, they give that in episode 1.
Yeah, they highlight it with her. Well, they highlighted in the scene in the 70s episode. Where she's talking to like her Herb right before Vision comes into the house and like starts to really question Wanda.
Mm-hmm. I found her endlessly entertaining as Agnes, and I was also always off-put by her. Where I'm like, she has to be so much more involved in this than all the other civilians are. Yeah. Then when she turned into Agatha, I don't know. Agatha wasn't that like cool to me.
What I liked about Agatha was how she was trying to figure out Wanda and how she still had her personality, but like her mean side comes out. And I liked her Salem witch trials back. I've begun to really like witchy shit.
Yeah, you know what?
With runes.
I did like how we got more insight into witches.
Yeah,
I've also begun to like witches just now.
The joke is Bradley always likes witches.
The thing about Agatha too is like, even like after she reveals herself, it's kind of interesting that the villain is pointing out to you like you are the one that's doing the morally wrong thing here. Yeah. Like I just walked in here to see what the hell is going on,
and I got treated.
I haven't done anything other than just kind of poke and prod to see what's going on.
And I really liked her character when she's like pushing Wanda to remember even though it hurts. It's like she's seeing Wanda's past as well. And she's not empathizing. She's just super curious. And like curious characters are fun for moving plots forward. I tend to like
like the entire final battle, not only is the final battle cool, that battle itself is not even the tense part of like the end of WandaVision for me. It's that during the entire battle, you're thinking about what Wanda's going to have to do once the battle is over.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh.
About the battle, the first half of that episode had horrible special effects. I really didn't like the fighting. I do like the final battle, and I really like how Wanda wins, because it's just such a badass moment. And she has the fucking Scarlet Witch thing, and her attacks were missing on purpose to draw the runes. I was like, that is so manga right there.
It's so badass, dude.
I really like that. Also, like, Agnes's final fate kind of super fucked up, but I mean, she'll come back later for sure.
Oh yeah.
They're gonna pop her open for Multiverse of Madness, and she's gonna be like sipping tea, and they're gonna have a conversation. They're gonna do it again.
She's somewhat based on a character that helps Wanda like master her powers in the comics.
She's
apparently.
somewhat based.
So she's also somewhat based.
So here's my question: does Rambo now have the powers of the girl from Ant-Man 2 that was killing her, but she's not dying?
I don't know. I don't know what her powers are.
She has vague powers. That's all I know.
So
I have no idea.
In terms of comic knowledge,
Spectre,
just speaking, she has the power to see energy, as well as her body has the power to absorb the energy. That's why when the bullet
that makes sense. When the bullet loses momentum when it goes through her.
I think that does make sense.
So she's kind of like Captain Marvel. She's Captain Marvel 2, I think, as her original tagline. But she basically has the power to absorb the energy and she can redirect it.
She's got pretty eyes when she's looking at you.
She is very fucking attractive, and I could not stop thinking about
There's
it.
a lot of attractive women in that show.
Oh my god, dude.
Catherine Hahn as Agatha is like, yo, that is a cougar right there.
Dude, all these ladies were...
Elizabeth Olsen is so pretty.
Oh my god!
It's unfair.
Every episode, I was just like, how's she going to be dressed up this time? I'm so ready.
The costuming in this show is stellar.
Oh, yes.
Even the normal costumes, like the 50s costumes and whatever, but then also Wanda's like superhero outfit.
So
that's
cute.
Like
and then the Vision superhero outfit, super cute.
Yeah. But then the OG ones, those are hilarious. But then
the real one is so cool.
Oh, yeah.
It's so baller. Like,
I'm
really worried, like, because in the comics it's like this bright red thing and like it's very flamboyant, and I'm glad that they kept the red tones, but they toned down a little bit about how bright it was. But everything about it just looked cool, and they showed it off in broad daylight, so it does like actually look good. It's not like a weird CGI looking thing.
And I like how she like summons it through energy first, so it's like an energy crown that then becomes a costume. I'm like, yeah, cool.
Yeah. I like how there's context for the crown too.
Yeah,
and it shows us like what the context is in the flashback. It's like, oh, that's the head bitch witch. She has the crown.
Yeah.
So, I was gonna say that like obviously, the Marvel movies take from the comic books, but are essentially writing their own storylines.
Yeah, they're loosely referenced, somewhat based.
They're more inspired by than actually the adaptations now.
What is the deal with the Scarlet Witch and the Mind Stone?
That must be so Scarlet Witch is a mutant in the comics, and she's the Nexus, which I believe means she's like a singularity point in a multiverse where like she's a constant and a gateway. And I feel like they kept that. I feel like that is where they're going with this. Mm-hmm. Like
they mentioned that she is the Scarlet Witch, she is chaos energy, and she's
chaos magic. Yeah.
And I like how they fucking took like the vague psychokinesis bullshit and then reframed it into probability chaos magic, especially when they retcon her past a little bit, where they're like, the bomb didn't explode because he manipulated the one chance where it wouldn't blow up in that living room. I'm like, cool. And then how the Scarlet Witch is kind of treated like the Phoenix Force. I'm like, yeah, I like that too. Mm-hmm. So I like how they recontextualized that character.
I like how the entire like story plot of Scarlet Witch has always been, I don't know what my powers do. Yeah, and now she's got a book at the end, and she's like, she gonna learn what. Like the first time you see a hero moment for the Scarlet Witch in her entire franchise has been when she did the sigils in the attack she was missing. But and she learns that like the episode before. That is like the true hero moment.
But also, it's so creepy because like I felt like the tone was so cool because like, wow, what a cool moment. But like, you're growing at such a rapid pace, it scares me.
It's actually terrifying.
And the way she's reading that book and meditating in the end is horrifying. So I like how they kept her like Rainbow was able to ethically, Rambo was able to ethically like. She's like, if I was in your spot, I would have done the same. But they don't backtrack all the way where like she does not make reparations with that town. She just leaves and they're like, we have been in your head and we understand what you've been through, but please get the fuck out of our town. Like that scene where they're surrounding her, like they're not angry, they're not fighting, they're just waiting for her to leave and seeing what she's gonna do because it was a weird month or however long that took.
I mean, that's great. I like it. She knows that she can't say anything, just throws the hood on and gets the fuck out.
And I feel like people were like, because Rambo was able to emphasize with her, they're like, oh, Marvel is trying to pretend like she wasn't a morally great character. But I walked out being like, Scarlet Witch is not your average hero, and she will have to like work really hard in the future to become a hero. That's how I feel like they're going.
That's why
the book studying thing is also a Doctor Strange thing that we see him do like a lot.
Yeah. But like I'm with you, Willard, because I got the sense from that where Rambo was like, I understand what you did, I know what you go through, and I think she specifically says like, I don't have any qualms with you, but I can't.
She says they'll never know what you had to give up, which is a line people really don't like, or a lot of people have problems with, because like she caused it to happen, so they're like, she didn't give up anything, she's the source of the problem. But really, like, they'll never understand that you had to give up. You had this thing that any person would take, bringing back their loved ones that are dear to you. Almost anyone would do it, and you had to walk away from it, and you chose that. So they'll like, while you caused the problem, they won't understand that you had to work through some real emotional shit to let go of the fucked up things you were doing. And I think that's
you saw your husband die 3 times.
Yeah, she killed him. She killed him twice.
Fuck people who think that. The show's not about them or even the little person. It's about Wanda, and she's got superpowers, and she's better than everyone else.
Yeah.
Tyler's being cheeky right now.
Now, can we just say, and for me, this is by far the best moment of the show. Vision has like one of the best quotes in TV fucking history for me.
Yeah.
Where like, man, I think it's episode 8, and he's sitting down with Wanda, and it's all coming out on the table. She's just letting all of her feelings out to him, and I'm like, man, you know, she's totally validated in how she's feeling, and it's like, what could you possibly, like, there's nothing you could ever say to someone to instantly make things better, but it's like, you know, what do you even say to someone feeling this way to console them? And he does this line where it's like, what is grief if not love persevering? And me and my friend just kind of paused for a second, and we're like, wow, damn.
So Vision gets the pussy wet. There's like, he's such a smooth talker, because he has another line where he's like, we've said goodbye before, so it stands to reason we'll see each other again. I'm like, you're so smooth.
Oh my god,
you're so smooth.
Especially for being an awkward fuck as he is, because like there's a scene in Civil War where he walks in, it's like, oh, I should have used the door. My apologies.
They made him so endearing.
Yeah.
I love this dude.
So the problem though is that line has now become meme to death, and I'm like, you guys are memeing a very good line, and I'm upset.
I know.
You ruined everything. Oh look, it's Sure.
Special guest Charlie.
A lot of special guests today. But yeah, just an excellent examination of grief, which like, I love stories that deal with guilt and grief, and that is like all this story is kind of both. Actually, it has both of my favorite like themes. So A+ for me. I will say, when it all comes together near the end, it's messy in a way that I'm like, yeah, we're back in the MCU for this last episode. But it gets back, like, the last scene is so fucked up, where she's like, the hex is disappearing, and she puts the kids to bed, and she's dancing with Vision as they both die. I'm like,
oh my god, dude.
I just really want to know. So like, I'm fascinated with more about the Mind Stone bringing the Scarlet Witch to Wanda.
Yeah.
Because, like, in a sense, we know that in this universe, the Soul Stone is able to actually house souls. That's where
Gamora probably is.
Gamora and Black Widow are.
Yeah.
Damn.
So it's like, I'm curious, is that theme going to be carried over to these other stones where they house entities of immense power?
I hope that they do flesh out the stones because, yeah, like I like the stones are kind of the most interesting thing that they barely touch on because it's like they're just like nebulous sources of energy. I kind of want them to like do things with it. When Thanos is using the stones like actively, I thought that was really cool, but I also want them to like dive into what they can do in other ways.
The shame he used the stones to destroy the stones.
Yeah.
But for the Scarlet Witch one, Agatha mentions that she was getting to an age where the magic was going to fade away, but then she encountered a Soul Stone and did the opposite, where it just amplified it by 100.
Yeah.
So it definitely awoken something more in her. I'm sure something along, because they do mention it a lot in the show about the Soul Stone. So I'm sure it will come up later about I'm sure Multiverse Madness of like what do these souls mean and everything.
The Black Widow movie got pushed back like forever, right? That's not out, is it?
It comes out in May.
What the fuck? That was supposed to come out so long ago.
So here's the biggest crime in all COVID history. What was supposed to happen was Black Widow came out.
The biggest crime in COVID history? Okay.
Yeah, well, hyperboles. So Black Widow was supposed to come out, and then WandaVision was supposed to come out. 1 month after WandaVision was supposed to be Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
Oh, that would have been perfect. In a month.
And that got pushed all the way to 2022.
No.
Yeah.
Bummer.
God.
We would have gone straight from... Could you imagine the hype train? They would have made just fucking...
That would have been buku bucks.
We do get a movie at the end of this year.
It's the Widow, right?
Black Widow one. It's just incredible.
Black Widow's in May. We get one that's in November.
What this show did to me is, so like after Endgame, right? They still want to make movies. They want to make these TV shows. And after Endgame, I was like, I think I'm good on MCU stuff. I was like, I think Endgame was the perfect finale. I was like, I don't need any more of this. And then after WandaVision, now I'm like, bring it on.
So it's
let's go.
And we could end with that as like this show, I think, paints a bright future of like, we're gonna get weird. We're not gonna stay with we're gonna tell weird stories based around superheroes like the comics do. I feel like we just finished the Silver Age or the Bronze Age. And we're now going into a Silver Age or Gold Age, whatever you want to say.
We just left a golden era. We're going back to a normal age.
Disagree. I think we're moving up. I think we're moving up in the
I'm
world.
really happy to hear how much Bradley enjoyed this show. And like Bradley's fresh perspective on like SCP Foundation stuff. I'm like, man, that hasn't been a part of my life at all. So I didn't feel that way, and I still very much hated the first 3 episodes. But in contrast, it's very nice to hear how much Bradley enjoyed the first 3 episodes.
Oh, dude, the first 3 episodes were incredible to me. I was like, I have to know what's going on here.
I liked every episode. I
liked every episode.
Is this my favorite MCU thing? It's probably the most interesting MCU thing, and it's probably it's high up there. I don't know if it's my favorite, but I definitely loved it.
Like, Endgame's still my favorite, but this is close behind.
Yeah,
it's scratching it.
I'm excited. Guardians, Endgame, Infinity War, they're kind of all around like my favorite MCU stuff.
So they did that Marvel like timeline for everything that's coming out like 3 months ago. I never watched it until like this last week. I'm excited for Loki. I've never been like a Loki Tom Hiddleston stan.
I like Loki. I'm down for more Loki.
I do, but then I heard the premise is going to be like he's in a cop thriller drama like CSI Miami shit. Like it's like the plot thematic. And I'm like, all right,
that could be fun
with that.
That could be.
Did you watch the trailer? The trailer makes it look super fun.
Yeah. So timeline: Black Widow in May, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, which I don't know what that's about.
I don't want to know. I just want to watch that. Whatever the fuck that is, let's just go into it.
Yeah, that comes out in July. In between that, we have Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Mm-hmm.
So that, and then before that is Loki. At some point in summer is the What If, which is the animated alternate reality series.
Yeah.
Then towards the end of the year, we have Eternals, which are like not even probably like Joe, you read more comics. I would say these are like C tier heroes, like shit nobody's ever heard of.
Okay.
Yeah.
To pause that for a second, the MCU as we know it is born off of C tier heroes. Iron Man was not popular apparently until Iron Man. Like
Iron Man was literally Iron Man has always been a staple.
No. Apparently, like he was, he was in the Avenger games, but he was never like the go-to guy. He was always X-Men.
It was always Captain America, Spider-Man,
Captain America, Spider-Man, and Hulk. But like Iron Man, it wasn't B or like C tier. He was like maybe B low A.
He was B tier.
He
like
went
he
from
was
B tier to like the most popular superhero. Like
because Robert Downey Jr.
And like Guardians of the Galaxy were apparently like D tier losers who are now popular. So I think and WandaVision, no one gave a shit about WandaVision until now. So
I feel like people liked the Scarlet Witch.
People like House of M. They like House of M.
People like the X-Men as the ensemble cast of the and the Vision. Someone who's like, people who like Vision comics are like, dude, Vision's the coolest. And it took me until like this and like seeing him Theseus ship himself to death to be like, okay, I get why people like Vision now. So
you know what's
the power of them to take a C tier up is why I'm like, I don't want to know what Quan Chi is. Whatever, they'll make it.
I think they could make any character cool.
Yeah. That being said, I am very excited for the Eternals movie because I saw the cast. This is a stacked cast of characters. Like I am excited for all of them. It's Angelina Jolie is like gonna be in the Marvels universe. It's got like Richard Madden, Kumali Ninjiani is gonna be a Marvel hero now.
Who is that? Where would I know him from?
He's Indian. Hold on, I'll post his.
Yeah, he's a comedian. You'll know him as soon as you see him.
Yeah, I'll post it in our.
I have a feeling I know which one it is. I'm just not sure. When's Azir Ansari getting in here? You know.
Oh, Selma Hayek is gonna be a Marvel hero now.
Dude, they took like Brie Larson and fucking Evangeline, whatever, from Lost, and made them heroes. So anything's possible.
Who is the main guy from Kit Harington is also going to be in it.
Yeah, he gets to be in a franchise that won't end horribly.
Apparently, the description of his character is a human who wields a mystical sword.
Yeah, I'm looking at that.
So he's Mr. Boring Man again.
Yes.
We also get Hawkeye this year, which seems like very Archer-ish, not gonna lie.
That's a TV show.
Yeah.
I believe that's about Hawkeye training his daughter to become the next Hawkeye.
Okay, I kind of love the character of Hawkeye, so I'm down for this. I like how he's just the normal dude. Batman without the money. He's just the dude.
And then Miss Marvel.
Yeah.
Before you go, Joe. And then we have Spider-Man 3, which leads into Thor, which I don't think is going to tie in, but Spider-Man's going to tie in with Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness.
That's been rumored because it's like they're going to bring.
No, that's
Toby.
confirmed. That's confirmed.
It's not confirmed. Well,
yes, it is.
The Toby and Andrew Garfield stuff coming back is.
Oh, I don't. That's rumored. I don't know if that'll be true, but I think they will have Miles Morales because Miles Morales is canon in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah,
Donald Glover is Miles Morales' uncle.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, he's not the. Is he the Prowler?
Yeah, he's the uncle. I've only been watching Marvel shit this week. Dude.
Yeah, he mentions his cousin. He mentions his nephew Miles even when he talks to Spider-Man.
That's in a deleted scene, Joe.
Oh, is it a deleted scene?
Yeah, that's a deleted scene.
That's funny because Donald Glover wanted to be Spider-Man for the longest time, and they're like, cast Donald Glover and do a Miles movie, and now he's too old, so that's a real big bummer. Now, and I realize in hindsight, Donald Glover is Darkstalker in what's this really good Spider-Man movie that came out?
Into the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, he's Darkstalker and Into the Spider-Verse.
The Prowler. That's what his name is.
Prowler.
Yeah.
Wait, then he's both characters in both, according to what you're saying.
No, like that's who he would be if Prowler was in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yes. Man, Into the Spider-Verse is so good.
Man.
Okay, I think we're good. I'm hungry. We had a great podcast.
I'm hung.
All right.
That's what my sister would say.
What?
What's up? My name's Ree.
Yeah, my sister,
hung?
whenever she's hungry, says, I'm hung.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, you can't say that. Anyways, have a wonderful night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Enjoy.